Hidden in plain sight on HBO's roster of entertainment is the most gut-punchingly real yet absurd show you'll ever see. Of course, I'm referring to Barry. A show about a master assassin that wants to be an actor. Despite Bill Hader of SNL fame being the star, writer, and creator along with Alex Berg, it's not really a comedy, but it's more of a drama with nuanced takes on morality, identity, happiness, and control. One could even call it a dramedy. If you haven't seen Barry, you're welcome, because I just introduced you to your next favorite series. It's honestly so good. The ongoing narrative centers around Barry struggling to make a life for himself in entertainment, while continuously getting sucked back to the business of murder by his sleazy mentor Fuchs and a Chechen mobster that likes him a little too much, named Hank.
Thank you for your friendship. You're a super good guy.
In that light, it's easy to pin who drives the story. It's the people that refuse to let Barry live a normal life. However, while the hitman plot pushes the series, it's not the central conflict. I'd argue that the central conflict is the thematic elements that focus on Barry's quest to discover what he wants, stability, and meaning. If we look at it from that angle, the main antagonist isn't anyone in the seedy underbelly. It's Barry's girlfriend, Sally. And by the way, that's the thesis of this video. Sally is a self-centered, insecure, yet talented actress. While Fuchs and Hank tether Barry to a life he hates, Sally tethers him to this feeling of despair and self-doubt. The reason? It feeds her ego and need for control. They first met when Barry stumbled upon her practicing lines outside acting class. He literally did not say one word, but the moment they locked eyes, she was pissed at him for throwing off her rhythm. The anger subsided when Sally realized he was joining the class and he had a crush on her. At that point, it was an ego-feeding game. And that's why she slept with him. He was someone she had control over.
Hey.
Yeah.
Can you drive him home? He has like 7 DUIs.
Sure.
Good night.
However, she immediately went back to ignoring him and being angry at him because he bought her a laptop after seeing hers was broken. Barry legitimately liked her and wanted to show her he cared about her. But Sally projected her emotions. She saw it as a power play when actually she was the one taking advantage of his feelings.
I don't know if you thought you could, buy me with that laptop, but that was a weird-ass Tony Soprano move. What the fuck are you wearing?
Eventually, Barry and Sally became a couple in season 2, but that's only because he made her look good during a performance, he became useful in a professional sense, and he listened to her endlessly talk about herself.
I wanted to say sorry for snapping at you back there. I didn't realize you were an actor.
And while she obviously treats him like shit, Barry doesn't recognize it because he's used to being in controlling and harmful relationships. Barry went from being in the army, to Fuchs, to Sally. He's not an independent person. He's constantly turning to toxic systems and people to give him a sense of purpose. But the problem with that is that anybody attracted to that level of control in somebody else's life generally isn't amazing. The people and organizations that Barry clings to are not looking out for his well-being, but keep him around out of need. So while Sally does not give him the time of day, she represents his dream of starting a family and having normalcy. Instead of leaving assassination for a healthy relationship, he unwittingly left one emotionally crippling situation for another. Sally is able to keep him around for validation by teasing him with this fantasy and putting him in a vulnerable state of mind. Throughout the series, Sally has 3 types of interactions with Barry depending on how he's feeling and the situation they're in. 1, if Barry's upset and she's fine, she'll ignore him and focus on her own life.
Hey, do you want to get out of here?
I want to be there for you. I do. But tomorrow. Not too early, around noon. After yoga, but before an audition I'll need to prepare, okay?
2, if Barry's fine but she needs him to be sad for a scene, she'll push his buttons till he's a wreck or encourage him to wallow in his sadness. And 3, if something good happens to Barry but she's upset, she'll try to bring him down to her level. There's a running theme if you look through this list. Sally does not like it when Barry rises above her, and she only actively engages with him when she wants to make him angry or depressed. To prove this, let's watch 2 example scenes. In both these instances, Sally is helping Barry practice 2 different pieces. One is a drama, the other is a comedy. First, let's look at Sally's dramatic approach.
Come on!
Don't do that, please, Sally. Just something I'm not capable of.
Come on, you baby. Hey,
Don't say it.
come on.
What are you doing? Don't do that.
Come on.
Look,
Come on. Look, I know who you really are, okay? You pretend to be this nice guy,
Stop it.
but deep down you're nothing but rotten.
What is wrong with
and
you?
you like it. And that's why you're never gonna change. And that's why I'm gonna fucking leave you.
What are you saying that?
Come on!
Stop it.
Come on!
Stop saying
Fucking
that.
choke me!
Stop it.
Fucking do it, you fucking pussy! Fucking do it! Come on!
Helping you. Stay
Come
in
on!
the scene with
Choke me!
Let it out. Fuck off!
She threatened him with his pain points to get him to a place she needed him to be. She wanted him to be unhappy and didn't care how she got it. Now the comedy.
Okay, try it once more.
Now listen, Duffy, I want you to tear out the whole front page. That's what I said, the whole front page. Johnson's right in the lead.
Okay, try it again, just like, I think faster and louder.
Now listen, Duffy, I want you to tear out the whole front page. That's what I said, the whole front page. Johnson's right in the lead.
Yeah, that was funnier. You left the word out.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Whole front page out. Johnson will write the lead. But I got most of the words right, though, yeah?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it's getting there.
There is no discussion on how to get to a lighter place. It's not important to her because she sees this as a silly comedy. It's not something to advance her career. It's something Barry wanted to do.
Plus, you know, it's the front page. It's a stupid farce.
This isn't just rude, it's destructive. Sally and acting are Barry's portals into learning who he is and how to develop as a person. And while Sally shouldn't have to be his sole source of comfort, she is, she knows it, and she's doing him a disservice. Her horrible treatment of Barry isn't limited to these two examples. There are a million others I could have brought up. There's that time he obviously had something wrong with him during a performance, but she still praised him for being raw and told him to stay in that space.
I mean, whatever you did tonight to get to that place, that's your new process, okay? All you have to do is do that every time.
There's that other time before a big showcase that she refused to leave him alone when he was obviously distraught, then changed the script mid-performance and embarrassed him in front of a huge crowd so she could look better. Then there's the other time when he needed her for something and then she ditched him because she wanted to have drinks with her agent. Or there's that other time when she got angry at him for having a major movie audition when she didn't have one.
I need you to know that if you do get it, it's gonna make me like 100 times more insane. Okay?
You know what? You get the point. I'll stop there. There is only one moment I can remember that Sally actually tries to help Barry. It's when he was struggling to write a scene about a life-changing and traumatic event in his life. But even then, Sally just blows him off and uses it as an opportunity to discuss her own life and how great she is.
Listen, I know better than anybody how scary it is to confront the past. I mean, you know, when Jean pushed me to talk about my marriage, you saw me, it totally freaked me out. Honestly, it's kind of been therapeutic.
Sally's relationship with Barry very much mimics her abusive relationship with her ex-husband Sam, only there's less physical mistreatment and she's the abusive one. Sally uses her acting ability to make Barry think she's a loving girlfriend, then she gaslights him and uses him as a chauffeur and a whipping boy for her emotions. He's a weaker person that doesn't talk back and allows her to treat him badly, the opposite of how her ex acted. For her, Barry is a shoulder to cry on, a person to sleep with, and a sponge for words until he needs her for anything. And the kicker is, I don't even think she likes him. There's a point when she's reading a play she wrote about Sam in front of the acting class. The scene depicts one time that her ex-husband beat her. During an aside on stage, she says,
He apologizes, like before, and I will never feel more loved than in that moment.
Barry reacts as if it's a weird phrase and moves on. But I don't think it's some throwaway line about her past. I think she's speaking to her current situation, including all her times with Barry. And while that does sound like I'm making a bold accusation, it might not be too left of center. When Sam comes to town, he calls her to come by where he's staying, and with little to no convincing, manages to lure her up to his room. And as she's about to leave because she feels threatened, he easily gets her to stay by mentioning his dying dad, which in turn triggers her sympathy.
My dad is sick.
Oh. Jack's sick?
There is not one point in the entire series when Sally goes out of her way to see or be with Barry, let alone talk to him with this tone of affection and concern. She shows more compassion to her abusive ex-husband than to her current boyfriend that would do anything to make her happy, including trying to kill her ex-husband. Now, if you've seen the show, you might be thinking, isn't every character selfish? Like, what makes Sally worse for Barry than anyone else? Well, while everyone is selfish, they've all been genuinely kind to Barry at least once during the seasons. Hank, the Chechen mobster, put his life on the line to protect Barry from being murdered by his bosses. Jean, the acting teacher, gives him a safe space to talk about what he's done and made him feel like he could change. Fuchs, despite being a vengeful sociopath, loved Barry like a son and tried to prevent him from being caught by the police on multiple occasions. Even the acting class of self-absorbed actors gave Barry leeway when he flipped out on them during a debate on whether Macbeth was a monster. Some aside context for that, they were saying Macbeth was amoral and evil for killing under the direction of Lady Macbeth, and Barry reacted as if they were calling him an amoral murderer. They thought he was referring to his time in the army and not the whole assassination thing, but whatever. Anyway, after that class discussion, Sally was the only one that couldn't see why Barry would be angry at them, assuming he was channeling his time in the army. She isn't able to sympathize with people. It's why she refuses to recognize Barry's sadness, their abusive relationship, or that when you're at an open mic honoring your dead friend, it's wrong to perform a dark, heavy piece about a pedophile because you do well at acting in it. Which is something else she was about to do and couldn't understand why people told her not to.
I just don't think we should evoke child molestation at a memorial.
Please, Gene, Ryan would have wanted this.
Hey, you know what? It's totally up to you. I gotta pee.
Actually, now that I think about it, Sally might be the biggest sociopath in the show. It would explain why she's so good at mimicking other people's emotions during performances, but isn't able to comprehend them in the real world. In a show full of murderers, drug dealers, blinded drama students, and con men, the most reprehensible person is also the morally pretentious straight man character. Because Barry is so desperate for someone to look up to and save him, he ignores or can't see how terrible she is for him. And while I don't think Hader or Berg were trying to teach us a lesson, this Sally situation speaks to a couple of things that even us not Hitman audience can relate to. 1, sometimes the real villains aren't always obvious. And 2, no matter how connected you feel to someone, you can't cling to others to bring you happiness or direction. And that's my video about Barry. At this point, I'd like to thank my Patreons Matt, David, and Patrick. Thank you so much for your support. If you also want to support my channel, you can subscribe, like this video, and/or donate to my Patreon. The link is in the description below. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.